Hello and welcome to Wanderfix. If you're new here, we get on weekly and we talk about things that we want to learn about, want to discuss. Today we have a wonderful presentation prepared by Chad about Elsa Bloodstone.
Hey, I'm Chad. Elsa Bloodstone is coming to Marvel Rivals, and so I wanted to learn more about her. So that's what we decided to talk about this week. That's what we're learning about. We also have Nate.
So even though I love comic books, I honestly don't remember her at all, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I found it really interesting that they went with her, but I also kind of like that they went with her. Like, I think it's exciting that they're choosing these new and different characters. So,
They do have a tendency to pick more niche characters like Angela and I guess to an extent Jeff the Landshark.
yeah. So let's get into it. Here is Elsa. I'm Elsa Bleepin Bloodstone.
We can't
Um,
swear the first minute because of YouTube.
yeah, I don't want to get demonetized. Um, So, Elsa first appeared in Bloodstone #1 in 2001. This is like a part comic miniseries that focused on the Bloodstone family, mostly on Elsa. This is kind of a soft reboot of a character who is her dad called Ulysses Bloodstone, and he came out in 1975. So here is her on the right, and she's actually blonde, but we'll talk about this later. That is a big part of her character a little bit. Um,
Okay.
Interesting.
So basically, Elsa's dad dies, and she comes to inherit the Bloodstone Manor with Frankenstein's monster, over the top sexuality, and monster fighting. Um, they kind of wanted to like
Uh,
capitalize. Oh, go ahead.
the over the top sexuality, was that also true of her father or just her?
I'm pretty sure it was because the first one came out in the 1970s. And I mean, it wasn't overly top sexual for him, but he was, basically shirtless all the time, ripped kind of 1970s, almost He-Man
Okay.
look. We'll show him in a second and talk a
Okay.
little bit more about him. But yeah, this was the early 2000s, 2001. So I mean, you can see what she's wearing here. She's blonde, big breasted, the little thing. And they even talk about it, like when she gets dressed, she's like, "Isn't this seem a little pervy?" We'll get into that too.
Okay.
Um,
Did she break the fourth wall a lot then, or
Not really, no. She's not really
okay?
talking to the fourth wall. She's talking to Frankenstein's monster actually in that scene.
Okay.
Um, who is like the kind of the caretaker of the Bloodstone Manor.
Hmm,
She
interesting.
actually never really knew her dad, and he was never a part of her life. She kind of just learned after he died of the inheritance. And so she ends up coming to the manor, meets the Frankenstein's monster guy, who isn't really Frankenstein's monster, but he totally is. And and he gives her the bloodstone, which is that choker necklace she has in those pictures there.
So
Okay.
so the Bloodstone is more than just her name, it's like an heirloom.
Yeah, so we'll get into that too. The bloodstone is a alien artifact that these aliens
Oh,
created in order to like be able to be over the top powerful. And we'll get into this in just a moment, so we won't talk too much
okay.
about it right now. But yes, it is not just her name. It is they kind of took the name from the bloodstone, which is a magical, I wouldn't quite say Infinity Stone, but almost like an Infinity Stone. So my question here is, do you guys think Marvel should do more weird comics like this instead of sticking with normal superheroes? Because they were really pushing early 2000s, like even up until then, these different kind of not just superhero comics, different kind of styles. I mean, maybe not the sexuality part, but maybe not superheroes, but doing some different style comics. Or do you think superheroes are what they can only do?
I I think they absolutely should because superhero isn't a genre. It's like a type of character, you know? One of my favorite Marvel projects is Werewolf by Night. That wouldn't really be considered a like superhero comic book genre film, but I think it still works really well. I think the characters are really interesting. And apparently, Wonder Man just came out and people are saying that that's also one of the best things that Marvel has ever done. And it's a completely different style. It's focusing on just like kind of average people within the MCU. I think that that is a very wonderful realm that they can explore more with comic books and characters.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever read any of the Dark Horse comic books, but
Yeah, I have.
uh
Yeah, is that Hellboy or is that a different one?
I think Hellboy might be one of them. I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I remember there was a time where there was like Bloodspot, which I think Vin Diesel tried to do a Bloodspot movie or something. Um, but there was one I found really interesting that was like there it was just like a Vandal or like a Visigoth or something dude who him and his entire nation got transported from like like Roman Empire times to modern times. They were trying to reestablish their kingdom, and then their leader ended up stealing some type of Iron Man type suit that he could control. And it was just this wacky, weird kind of thing. We're like, yeah, go for the weird stuff. Like, there's tons of crazy things. You have Frankenstein's monster. You have like Craven the Hunter is kind of like a weirder one where he's like just a poacher, but then he wants to hunt Spider-Man for some reason because he's the greatest prey. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's fun when Marvel kind of steps outside the norm and gets a little more like into horror or comedy or just something strange or just abnormal. I think
I
people find it
agree.
great
I
at
think
that.
it's something that Marvel has been afraid to do. Like with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, they kind of released that it's going to be the first horror movie Marvel thing. And then it kind of was. It had some scary scenes, but it wasn't like they didn't lean into it. They didn't I think
They didn't
it
commit.
felt they didn't commit. Yeah, it felt like they were nervous about it to me.
Yeah.
As much as I hate Multiverse of Madness, I do appreciate what they did in terms of experimenting and trying out new genres.
So the Bloodstone. Um So what I was able to find about the specifics of the Bloodstone, it was kind of from the 1970s Ulysses Bloodstone comic, 1975, and it was so complicated that I just wrote aliens. Basically, it was basically the like 1970s, like what someone would imagine a nerdy comic to be. It was, because it was like these different aliens all with these different names, like Kluk Klan came together to do all this stuff, and then the Bloodstone kind of had sentience also, and it created a guardian who is this guy in the photo, and that crash landed into Earth looking for a human guardian, and then it ended up killing all of Ulysses' tribe, and then Ulysses was mad, smashed the Bloodstone, and it embedded it into his chest. That's only one of the versions. The version that we're about to get into in a second is another version. It's very similar, where he's a mortal man. Oh, and this is during the caveman eras too. That's important to
Oh,
note.
okay.
Oh, so this
Uh,
dude's semi-immortal or
he
long-lived?
is immortal, yes. Because in this version, he encounters the Guardian, Ulu Khan Te Sin, the otherworldly semblance of the entity known as the Hellfire Elix, and they fight over it. And then in that fight, the Bloodstone gets broken and embedded into his chest. So either way, either one of the stories, this is the more, I think, a little bit more modern, the one on the bottom right, not modern, but not 1975 one. They fight, and either way, the gem gets embedded to his chest. He turns from a caveman into like a superpowered monster hunter because he wants to hunt monsters after he killed this alien that killed his tribe, and he has the gem in his chest.
So
So
obviously this isn't like canon anymore, but why did Luxil Quan Tyson want a human champion when he
Yeah,
came to
great
Earth?
question. I think it was literally to protect the Bloodstone. Um,
Isn't that
but
his job?
Yes. I think they needed human DNA. Like I said, I did
Okay.
get this was the part that I'm not fully sure on. I watched
Yeah.
a couple of different videos trying to explain it, but I could actually only find like one or two because Ulysses Bloodstone, this comic, came out in 1975, and then I think maybe went to 1980, and then he died,
Oh,
and
oh,
was not
so much
talked
for being
about.
a
He was not talked about
so
again until 2001 when Elsa came into scene and they were like, "Your dad is dead. Here's the Bloodstone as a choker." Um, so that's why,
classic.
yeah. So it's a little complicated, but at least what I was able to find, he was not very popular either. But yes, he does have that
okay.
He-Man sexuality that we talked about earlier.
He does look like a more angry He-Man.
Yes. So a little bit about the dad. He basically has Elsa and he wants her to become like him. So he begins to train her like crazy. A lot of people say that he is has the award for like the worst Marvel dad in history, because he wants her to be this amazing monster hunter. And so he does crazy stuff like he cuts off her hand and puts the gem in it so she can shoot blasts, and he throws her to monsters, and he's like, "Do it or die, hunt these monsters." Here's an image from one of the comic strips of him throwing her into a pit of sharks.
So he's
That's
literally
pretty.
throwing what appears to be her as a child into a raging ocean storm to be eaten by a bunch of sharks and just expects her to be okay?
Yes. Hmm.
That's psychotic.
Now, have any of
So,
you come across a contradiction yet?
I thought he
well,
was dead.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
And I thought they
very,
didn't know each other.
and then
exactly.
also okay, that's because he's also around from caveman times. When did he have Elsa?
Yeah, he has actually a couple of kids. So we'll get into Cullen. He has Cullen, and he has another daughter named, oh gosh, it might be Elise, but Elise might also be his wife. Anyways, either way, he has like three kids that are canon at least. And the first kid is evil, and she ends up dying. So she's not important. But Elsa
Okay.
and Colin are important. But I'm glad you caught that because yes, he died, and Elsa never really knew him. So that was where I got very confused when I was doing some research on, okay, well then why does this video say that her backstory is this, and then this video talks about how he was there the whole time and he was horrible and stuff. We'll get into that. All of that is a lie. Her dad died when she was very young, and these were all memories implanted to make her a stronger fighter. But this is from the New Wave comic, where she joins a superhero team that ends up being evil, and they implanted these memories of her father um, in order to make her stronger, better, and a better fighter. And so, technically, depending on the comic you read, they have actually done both of these backstories. Both of these backstories, I think, are true. Um, that her dad is either terrible and horrible, or she came to the manor after he was dead and was in this like was blonde and stuff. So
So, so they literally just gave her childhood trauma to make her stronger for the plot.
yes, that
They
was
were
how
like,
they
"Oh, you're not good enough. Time to traumatize you. I give
yeah.
you bad parenting."
Yeah,
And that's
that's how a lot of people are not very happy with this, it seems, because it seems to be basically a reason for explaining her two different backstories. Um
Trying
so
to
basically they wrote one story and then we're like, well crap, how do we explain why she knows all this monster hunting stuff and is good at it? Let's just say some people randomly implant these memories, but why would this other evil superhero team even know her dad and want to do that?
because I think he was famous, like he was one of the best monster hunters of all time, so maybe they knew who he was. um but anyways, this is where I got a little confused because I was trying to figure out which is the true canon. It does seem, I will say, it does seem we have now, since that story, since the New Wave story, we have now gone towards erasing blonde, sexualized Elsa. She's always been kind of sexualized, but this level of sexualized, and we have
hypersexualize.
gone
Yeah.
to more of this being her canon, and
The
not
her
just a memory. Yeah, her dad being
So,
real.
her dad being real. Okay, so she actually knows her dad now?
Yes, and we'll get into one of the reasons why that's possible soon. Um, Eric, did you have
so
something to say?
so yeah, she started out as a traumatized kid, then that got retconned that she didn't know her dad, then that got retconned that those were memories implanted, then that got retconned that she actually did have a horrible dad. So she's been like retconned 2 or 3 times back to where she started,
Yes, I would say
more or
it
less.
started off with Ulysses was always real. He was always
Mhm,
real. It started off with her in 2001 not knowing her dad. So she was kind of like this bimbo who was really good at fighting and gets the choker necklace. And that's this Elsa Bloodstone in this
mhm.
photo. Um, and then she kind of comes out again in the New Wave comic, and she's really cool, and she has this backstory of all this, of her dad being evil and just abusing her, but making her better for it. And then that is told that, well, how does she have these two backstories? Well, it was memories implanted. That is so
Mm,
silly that I think they have just gone forward with this being her backstory and kind of gone away from this
Completely
version of Elsa.
forgotten about that, okay.
okay.
Yeah. So how do you guys feel
Yeah.
about retcons in movies or comics?
I mean,
Um,
with comics, when you're having, characters that have existed for 50 years, it's kind of inevitable. I'm not the biggest fan, but I understand, if you're, like, starting a new, a wave, a new run, a new multiverse, whatever, you're gonna have to make changes to adapt not only to, like, what fits the character that's evolved, but as well as, like, the audience and what they want to see. Um, I do think that her having genuine trauma is a better decision than having her just have these, like, memories implanted or not even knowing who her dad is. I think that makes a bit more sense from what I'm understanding so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just say I think the retcon it depends on the retcon. Like, for example, the MCU deciding to essentially forego secret identities, I actually thought was a really cool move, and you could maybe consider that a retcon. Like Iron Man, instead of like hiding his identity, just says "I am Iron Man," and that's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So depends on the retcon. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're horrible. Most
totally.
times they're horrible, but
Okay, so you might have also noticed throughout this that she has blonde hair in a lot of these early versions in this 2001 version. But the Elsa that we've seen more recently and in Marvel Rivals is a redhead, and that's kind of iconic for her. So I did some research on this, and I was kind of confused on where the red hair came from. They actually sought to. They knew this Marvel, and so in Marvel Zombies, this is supposedly the real Elsa. She just gets transported into the Marvel Zombies world. And so they explained her red hair by she was born with blonde hair, but when she kills a monster, she gets the blood all over her head. And her dad forces her to let the blood stay in her hair, and it stains her hair red because she did not kill the monster fast enough. And that's where
What?
her red hair comes from. This is supposedly the canon, more canon. There's also some theory that she just dyed it, yes. But this is the more canon explanation for her red hair.
So so
sorry.
the canon is that her hair was dyed orange from monster blood because she didn't kill it fast enough? How does killing it fast enough impact
Because
it being able to
Ulysses,
dye her
this
hair?
is going for the storyline that Ulysses was there, that he was a terrible father. You know, as that comic strip you can see, it stings my head,
Yeah,
Daddy. And she says, "Well, naturally, you took 10 seconds too long, and the Quiploth blood in your hair is in your hair. Not a promising first kill, Elsa." And then he goes on to say, "Only and you will lie to your mother about this." How about how you got it?
I'm sorry. I'm reading that as uh wear its color as a badge of your inadequacy. Like, man, this is a horrible father. Like, this is literally a child, and it's their first time hunting a monster. They're like, sorry, you killed it too slow. You're gonna have to be reminded forever that you suck.
Yeah.
No,
So she
yeah, I
has,
definitely see the hate on Ulysses. I think that's
yeah.
justified.
Yeah, he
This
gets a
feels
lot of
very
hate.
justified.
He's kind of known in Marvel. He gets the kind of title towards worst father for this version.
So far, I
I
haven't seen anything to indicate otherwise. Like, he threw her through a bunch of sharks. He forced her to dye her hair against her will because she didn't kill a monster fast enough. Is what looks to be like a 5-year old or something.
He took, by the way,
I
whatever age she is there, yeah, took 10 seconds too long.
Yeah,
and
that's
now
just it.
she's no longer blonde.
Yeah,
Um, I guess that's comic book logic. Got blood in your hair, now it's orange forever.
Because weird
yeah.
monster blood does that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I found that interesting because I kept finding all these blonde pictures of her and then these redhead pictures, and I was like, so where does the redhead come from? And I was kind of, as silly as it is, happy to see that there was an explanation.
Mhm.
Um,
I do like that. At least they tried. They did something.
yeah. So Cullen Bloodstone, this is her younger brother. He ends up getting trapped in an evil dimension and he fuses with a monster, and now he can turn into the monsters. He actually is most of the time evil, and he's not part of the story all that much. But when he is good, he does work with her from time to time. They are siblings. A lot of people think that Cullen will be Elsa's ult and that he will call him into the fight. And one theory to remind that is actually in that bottom left image is Elsa in the rivals photo, and behind her is Cullen, as you can tell by the top right image of Cullen Bloodstone. So he has
Yeah,
been
Okay.
confirmed in whatever capacity he is, whether he's her ult or or just going to be in the collector's thing, whatever it is. He is somehow in rivals. In that top left image, I have a picture of Ash or a GIF of Ash from Overwatch because her ult is that she can summon a robot to help.
Yeah, her friend Bob.
Yeah,
And so people just think that she'll summon Cullen to do something, or maybe like swap places with him or something. Like maybe it could be
I
a
mean,
cloak and dagger thing in her ult that she swaps with Cullen and does some like crazy monster stuff.
yeah.
that's interesting that I don't know. I feel like they'd want to save him for his own character though, right? And instead of just having him be
Maybe I
designated
don't
as
think he is as popular, and I know that Elsa's not as popular, but he's not really like I said. and I could be totally wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But what I was able to find out, like he is a villain sometimes. He is just kind of like the side character. He is teams up with her. So I don't know if he would ever be fully his own, but he could be, and I could be totally wrong.
Okay.
A
Yeah.
side note here at the bottom, I said his character does prove the storyline of her dad being part of her life and being traumatic because he also went through the trauma that she did. So anytime that she is involved, it is kind of confirmed that it wasn't just memories, because he also went through the trauma
Okay.
that the dad put him through.
Trauma bonded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So here are her powers. Elsa has exhibited superhuman strength, speed, senses, endurance, regenerative healing factor. She's an expert marksman. She can shoot energy blasts from her right hand. She's immune to vampire bites, and if a vampire drinks her blood or bites her, this is also not clear. I found multiple different versions of this. In the Wikipedia, it says that if a vampire bites her, they will die. But then on Marvel, I think it says they will be cured. So whatever it is, vampires don't want to bite her because she actually inherited a lot of the Bloodstone's power when she was born from Ulysses, because he had it on for thousands upon thousands of years. So when she was born, she had it in her blood, but also the Bloodstone enhances that on top of that. So she's like overly powerful.
Could we consider a cure to vampirism being death, and maybe that's where the miscommunication is here?
It could be,
That
yeah.
could be
I could literally pull up multiple different articles, and it kind of went back and forth between cured and kills them. So I'm not positive
that
on this one.
Mhm.
that'd be kind of funny. Just like every like a vampire wants to be cured, so they just have to take a gamble on biting her and see if they die or are cured.
Yeah.
Turn to dust.
So here's some art of just like some of the things that obviously she can do. She's crazy agility. So she can do these crazy things like in that top left image, just doing like a bicycle kick in the air and like kicking someone's head off. And then in the top right image, she that is a guitar she's holding, by the way, not an actual hammer or anything. She has a guitar and a car is speeding towards her, and she ends up slamming the car and it shatters into multiple different pieces from a guitar. So that just enhances how strong she is, ridiculously strong. Again, bottom left, this is an image where she is standing on two katanas. um, just to really showcase that she has that agility in her. And then the bottom right, her blasting the heck out of a monster. This power is give or take. She doesn't always have it, but in some, the bloodstone is in her hand and it's cursed her, so she's able to shoot these crazy energy blasts.
Oh, kind
So
of
yeah,
like how you talk about her dad chopped her hand off and put the bloodstone in there in its
exactly.
place.
Yeah, so that kind of goes back and
Okay.
forth on whether she has that or not.
Okay.
Interesting.
Looking at skills here, she's just good at everything.
She is kind of a Mary Sue, which is fun and good. I don't really mind it because I do think she's cool. But she is good at everything. She can track monsters well and things well because she has enhanced senses, so she can smell. She's most well known for using Uzis, shotguns, handguns, and she always kind of, when she goes on like a journey, she stows them in a guitar case. Um, I mentioned this earlier. She has the powers from her choker that she wears, the Bloodstone, but she also inherited some from her father, and that's where some of the like the um basic powers that she has, some of the more stuff, but the bloodstone enhances everything. Um so yeah, so she has like, I mean, she has, as you can see in that top right image, a warehouse of guns and weapons and things like that.
Interesting.
So I wanted to know about her power levels. So this is from the Marvel database. And I found this fascinating because I wanted to compare her to Spider-Man and Deadpool. Now, I don't think that the Marvel database knows what they're talking about, even though they are the Marvel database, because I think that a lot of this could be true. I think Spider-Man and her may be able to have the same strength. I mean, her being able to shatter a car like that is Spider-Man level strength. But then it said Deadpool was also a strength level 4, and I was like, I don't think Deadpool has level 4 strength. He's not really known for that. But what do you guys think about this as you go across and look through these?
I
Okay.
mean, she's almost identical to Spider-Man. The only difference is the speed and durability, where she's slightly more durable and slightly slower. Which with the Bloodstone makes sense. But yeah, like you're saying, the strength and like intelligence is interesting. I do find the fighting skills to be the point where I think she would actually be stronger because that's her whole thing is that she's a monster hunter, right? She's supposed to be adept in all of these weapons. And as much as I love Spider-Man, he's just a quirked up white boy who happens to have super strength. He isn't like trained in any martial arts.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on the storyline for Spider-Man, but yeah, typically he's self-taught and maybe at some point later gets some training, but the majority of his story, he's just on his own. Where yeah, Elsa's trained from birth to fight monsters, it seems.
Hmm.
Um, Other thing, the strength I find weird. Spider-Man, there are several comics of him like holding up entire buildings by himself, like keeping it from collapsing and stuff to save people. I just I believe Elsa and Deadpool are both strong characters, but I just feel like Spider-Man, at least strength-wise, would be stronger than them.
Yes, if I had to
And
rank this based off of my research, I would put Spider-Man 7 is the max, just so you know. Um,
okay,
7 is the highest it can go on this scale. So it's not like it's out of 10. But I would probably put Spider-Man at a 5. And then I would maybe keep Elsa at a 4, and I would drop Deadpool down to like a 2 because I
Yeah.
personally don't think Deadpool his strength is more human. Like he's not like, I mean, he's
yeah,
very amazing at fighting and he has regenerative healing, but he's not like this powerhouse of a strength person. Would be
yeah,
my ranking.
yeah,
Yeah.
because like Spider-Man has been able to like fight the Hulk
Yeah.
with
Elsa does fight. I mean, we'll get to this soon, but Elsa does fight Avengers level threats. She fights um, Fing Fang Foom, I think is the name,
oh
Oh
yeah, the
wow.
big dragon.
and
Yeah,
things. So she does have the capability. I mean, she could probably fight Hulk,
yeah,
depending on the comic. She does have that
yeah.
level of strength, but I do think
Okay.
Spider Man is stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also feel like, and this might be me just spitballing here, but I know in some Spider-Man runs, he ends up running a business. He's an inventor, almost a genius little scientist. He works with Reed Richards as an Iron Man and stuff all the time. I feel like his intelligence might be at least a 5 as well.
I
I
would
just feel
agree.
like,
But I actually would keep Elsa's at a 4, and we'll get into this
Yeah.
soon
yeah,
because she is very smart. She has a situation for every single thing, and she is a teacher. She works as a teacher as a day job, and as a I can't remember the exact name for it, but basically as an expert in artifacts and things.
like an
That's
So
smart.
archaeologist.
yes, but that's not the exact. I have the exact name on a different
Oh,
slide, but
yeah.
yes,
Okay.
I had no idea that she was a teacher. That's cool.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Is
we'll get
is
into
that her
that.
like secret identity, or is she like openly? I'm Elsa Bloodstone. I fight monsters, and I'm a teacher.
That was one of the trivia questions, and I just
Oh, oh,
spoiled it. But yes, she teaches at Braddock Academy, which is basically the Britain's version of the Avengers Academy.
that's cool.
So
Oh, that's fun.
yeah, alongside like Captain Britain and things like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
And like Union Jack and stuff.
Yes,
Spider-Man
exactly.
UK.
Hmm. So I did think that her energy projection being a 1 being crazy because if we go back to this slide,
Yeah,
I
she's
mean, just look
literally.
at her Kamehamehaing that monster.
Yeah,
Um,
I wait,
but
and wait, they all have an energy projection of 1, at least give her a 2.
Yeah.
Come on.
exactly, and on this quote, I literally copied and pasted this quote because I wanted to make sure I had it right. This is directly from just to the left of the power base, and so it does say the energy when called upon. She can't control it initially. She has made it to work on command since she got her Bloodstone hand. The concussion stream she releases are powerful enough to blow away giant monsters at will. So it did say that we're just putting it as a 1 because she doesn't always have it and she can't really control it. But when she does have it, yeah, it would probably be up there with like a 4 maybe. So
Okay, interesting.
So her healing, and I was interested to see how her healing kind of compares to Deadpool because they had the same durability ranking. So here's one comic series I found where she at the bottom left here gets absolutely gored through the chest, and she's just left for the dead. I mean, you can see all of her bones broken. You can see her bones sticking out of her hand and her legs all in different pieces, a hole in her chest. And she
Yeah.
kind of reaches up and she has this like energy pulse that she kind of puts over it, heals, and then gets up and walks away. Um, so very powerful. I don't know if I would quite put it on Deadpool's level. It actually is not. We'll get into that. It is not on Deadpool's level because Deadpool can heal from anything, but she has
Yeah.
a very strong healing factor. One funny thing I saw about this is now it's not always this way. This is depending on the comic, but you can see her energy blast in the bottom left there. But then when she goes to heal with that energy in the top right, it is like an energy thing, meaning she could realistically be a strategist in Marvel Rivals because it kind of cool looks like a cool healing ability
Yeah.
to me. So
Yeah.
I was
Do you
fully
guys have any
expecting
thoughts?
her to be yeah, I was fully expecting her to be a DPS, but, like, I had no
Yeah.
idea that she could heal. It looks like it's coming from the Bloodstone, though. So I guess within Marvel Rivals, it kinda depends on if it's a, uh they're doing her with the Bloodstone hand or without the Bloodstone hand.
I mean, I really liked her. Her as I was reading these different comics and different things preparing for this, she just has this fun, snarky. She's really entertaining. Where she's laying there, you can see in the top right, Elsa never fucking dies. I totally get why Deadpool talks to an imaginary audience. Ow, me, it's very satisfying. So she just kind of is fun and different. And I like this kind of fun direction for her character. So
Yeah. I do I feel like the big difference here between her and Deadpool in terms of healing factor, it seems like you can actually Deadpool, you could like burn him to a crisp, disintegrate him, and as long as there's like one speck, he'll come back. Whereas her, she could at least incapacitate her. Like she is clearly seems like she's down and out for a little bit before she gets back up.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
But yeah, I do like that idea that she's just kind of like, ah, it's just another day. I gotta go kill somebody. Like, can I just get one day off, please?
uh,
Yeah.
so we get to the titular question: what role do you think Elsa will be when she comes out in Marvel Rivals?
I feel like she's gonna be a DPS.
I think she has to be a DPS. I think she's gonna have an ability similar to like Daredevil or Black Panther, where she like tags someone and then she does extra damage to them. I think she's gonna end up being the sniper that Black Widow should have been.
So
Um,
while I say that, one thing and an important thing to notice is that she usually in these photos, I could be wrong, but she's known for using dual like shotguns,
it's
so she's
true.
not really like a sniper. I
Okay,
actually would
Yeah.
prefer if she was a tank, because I mean, if you
I
look at
think I
her
would
body
also.
type in that bottom right image, she is pretty big, and that's kind of how they design their tanks in this big way. It'd be cool if she had shotguns and maybe some energy blasts and different kinds of things as
That's
a tank. And then her ultimate, I do kind of like the idea of summoning her brother as Cullen because I think that would be really cool. Um, or she could
but
totally be a strategist, but I don't think strategist fully fits as well. But I could see it happening with her healing abilities.
Mhm.
I'm feeling tank or DPS because I'm thinking she'll have her guns, the energy blast, a self heal. I think,
Yeah.
and that self heal could be like on a cooldown. Because if you're a tank, it'd be awesome if you could have a little self heal for when your healers are down or something, even as a DPS, and maybe with some, and maybe like a tracking ability like Daredevil or Black Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that would be cool.
I think, and then yeah, the ult just has to be Cullen. I think that's the most obvious route to go. I do think it would be fun if like the blast pushed back and did a ton of damage, kind of like an Invisible Woman push.
Mhm.
So you have that as a tank plus a self heal, and then dual shotguns and like a tagging thing would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm Dual shotguns would be kind of cool if she had them and she was like shooting, shooting, and then she like spun them to reload, shoot, shoot,
Oh, that'd be
shoot,
really
shoot,
cool.
spun to reload, shoot, 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 kind of thing. Be kind
Or
of
if
cool.
she had
Yeah.
or if you could like switch between dual shotguns and then like a rifle of some kind or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
I
the
definitely
shotguns, I
think.
think, because it encourages her to be a tank in the front line, because it would have to
Yeah.
be she has to be a
Yeah.
little bit closer for her to do full
A bit
damage.
more mid to short range. Yeah.
I'm just thinking having the option to switch to maybe like a Martini Henry style rifle where it's like one big game kind of powerful shot. So if someone
Mm-hmm.
starts running, you can shoot them before they get away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think, yeah, and they, like you said, she's just gonna have some kind of passive healing because we've seen them do that before with like Penny and Deadpool and even like Iron Fist. Just have some ability that allows you to heal for a very short period of time on your own. Um, but I think tank makes a lot of sense. Definitely, I don't think strategist, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got to be tank
I
or
could see it
DPS.
happening, but yeah, I'm not quite sure that would be right.
Yeah, I just don't think she has enough in her kit.
So we already kind of talked about this. What do you think her ult will be? We talked about it being Colin, her brother, that she could possibly summon, and he could run around, or they could swap, and she could become a monster that slams around. Do you have any other ideas for her ult?
I think I definitely think Cullen is the one that makes the most sense. I could also see a thing where, yeah, she pulls out like a big hunting rifle and similar to like Hawkeye just has for 5 seconds the ability to hit nothing but headshots.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
She does have a
uh,
gun that can. We'll get into this soon. Her kind of Mary Soonish. She does have a gun that can take out like Cthulhu level monsters, like massive monsters.
Oh,
And so yeah, it could be kind of cool if her ult was she pulls out this gun that just shoots out this massive bullet.
I
Um,
just thought of a crazy one.
yeah, go ahead.
You know how everyone changed her memories to give her childhood trauma? She does that to everyone. Everyone has their dad show up and traumatize them, so
just
everyone's controls get like messed up or something. So like
puts
up
the
becomes
entire
down, left becomes
fight
right,
on
and
pause.
you just have her dad like show up on screen yelling at you and abusing you while your controls start like all the up is now down, uh, like left click is now right click or something. You know?
I think that'd
Well,
be a
I
good one if
like
she
that
was a
idea.
strategist.
I don't know if it's. I don't know if it would be. It's way too niche because nobody else knows about that really. So, and most of
It
the
would be
videos you watch
so.
won't talk about that part. So,
It would be so funny though.
mm-hmm.
Guang Guang, please, please,
Guang guang,
give her childhood trauma.
let,
make it her passive.
let her. If you're around her too long, you start experiencing childhood trauma.
Exactly.
So here are some of her feats. She has beaten Elektra and Deadpool in 2v1. She beat them both while
Oh
fighting them
wow.
both at the same time. You can see that in that bottom right panel where she's literally in a robe and she beats them both. She has tons of supernatural artifacts at her disposal because of her family. She beats almost every single hero she fights, usually because she has some Deus Ex Machina monster hunting thing. And that bottom left image, it's Spider-Man gets turned into the man spider, where he's like part spider, and so she fights him, she ends up beating him, and then she while that fighting she injects him and cures him. um, Wolverine in the top left, she has a gun that just puts Wolverine kind of to sleep and on fire. And then that top right is her shooting that massive bullet at Fing Fang Foom. So she is a little bit of a Mary Sue in the sense that she's always kind of like has the right tool for the job, but she's still cool, and gets the job done in a fun way. So I don't think it's that big of an issue. Do you guys have an
I
issue, or
mean,
what do you guys feel about that?
No, I feel like it kind of makes sense. Like if her dad's been around since caveman times hunting monsters, it would make sense he'd gathered all these artifacts. And if she's supposed to be smart, intelligent, and like preparing for a hunt or whatever, it would make sense she'd bring the tools for the job.
Yeah,
yeah. I have absolutely no issue with characters being overpowered. It's when they're inconsistently overpowered that I have issues. Like if she was able to, one shot Fing Fang Foom and then couldn't beat, like Electra, that to me would be a little disappointing.
yeah.
But
I will be
as
clear.
long
I
as it's
believe
consistent.
that this Fing Fang Foom is a clone,
Okay.
but it's still,
Yeah,
that big of a
it's still
monster.
a kaiju. It's
Yes.
still a massive monster. And especially because she's like a niche character, it's not like she's every single day going to fight Thanos or Doom or Kang or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it still looks like they're telling compelling stories. It still looks like there is some level of intrigue. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. So here is a bit of her relationship with Deadpool, and it's kind of, I think, why they are releasing them together. She has a lot of connection with Deadpool. In one of the storylines, Deadpool becomes the king of monsters, and her being a monster hunter, of course, is going to be part of this. Monsters kind of get involved with the kingdom of Staten Island, which becomes a monster island. Um,
It
and
already is.
and I guess so. And Craven, of course, shows up because he wants to kill the monsters, but Deadpool is like, no. And Elsa ends up getting in. This is where I kind of said his healing factor is better, because Elsa gets infected by a bone monster with this bone infection. And so Deadpool ends up taking the disease for her and then sacrificing himself to the monster, to kill it. And then she ends up beating the monster once it's like has the thing in him. And so then that bottom right image where you can see after the monster's been killed and Deadpool is only just a head left, she kind of picks it up and cares for him, and he's all like, "Can I just say the placement of this Bjorn is sweet? Boobs are cool." And they kiss and they date for a while. So they have a big connection.
Nice.
I was wondering what their connection was because I just could not remember that.
Yeah. So they're not always, and I think currently they're not dating or together, but they have, and they work well together, and she talks about him sometimes in some of the comics. So
Okay, so they have a long-standing like friendship and
yes.
sometimes dating thing. Okay.
I believe that she tells him that his face looks like, um, I can't remember the exact quote, but it ends up being a compliment that he loves and sticks with him for a while. So because he
Nice.
is
Okay,
always insecure.
hmm,
So
That's really
that's
cool.
sweet.
Yeah.
yeah, one of the things, Deadpool is very insecure, which I thought was funny. And like in a lot of the comics, you see that he has like face masks and things when he takes off his mask, so he looks like handsome people and different kinds of things. But so I think that's one of the things that you never really see about him. I thought was interesting. And here we go. So, is Elsa Bloodstone canon to the MCU? Yes, she was in Werewolf
Okay.
by Night.
I
Um,
thought I recognized the name
and
Ulysses.
I totally forgot about this until I was doing my research, and then I was like, "Wait a minute, Werewolf by Night? That was that show we watched like a year or two ago." And and then I went into and I looked at it and I watched it again, and I remembered that yeah, she was this character. This was Elsa Bloodstone. The in the show, Ulysses has died, and the wife has gathered a bunch of monster hunters to see who is going to wield the Bloodstone, which is the only color in that entire series, in that entire special.
Okay.
Um, and so
Hmm.
this, I did research on that, and this is supposedly canon to the MCU, and which means that yes, she is canon to the MCU. But she doesn't have her red hair here. She has the black hair, which I find very odd that they went in that direction. I think it's probably because they went with black and white, and the red hair might not have looked good
Yeah.
on black and white.
It could
That's probably the
be
main reason.
Or may have come
also,
across a bit too blonde and they wanted to
Yeah.
keep that distanced.
yeah,
She's pretty cool in
also
this
like
show. She fights a lot of people and kicks their butt. So
Do we think we're gonna see Elsa Bloodstone in Doomsday?
no,
no.
it's not. No. Anytime Marvel does some sort of cool niche project like Moon Knight, Wonder Man, Werewolf by Night, they never show up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real bummer because I would love a whole entire series of her. And after she
Yeah.
gets a bloodstone, I think they would probably have to, once she gets a bloodstone, maybe dye her hair red. Maybe I don't know, but that is kind of iconic for her.
It could just be
And
really dark red hair that's coming across as black since they're doing black
It's
and white. It
true.
could just be like
sure,
really deep dark
hmm
red.
but would you guys be interested in a show more following this?
Oh, absolutely. Like I
I'd be
said,
interested, yeah.
Werewolf by Night is one of my favorite MCU projects. I would love to see more of her because I didn't realize that it was her when we started talking about her, but this character I did love her in the show. She was great. Um, so I would love to see more of her.
Yeah. I would love to see more of her. Like I just look, we've seen so much of like the I guess Marvel took their like originally like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor were not their most popular characters in the comic books, and they took them and then made them really popular through the MCU. I would love them to do that again with some of their even lesser known characters.
Yeah,
I
I
think it'd be really
agree.
fun.
And I think actually Marvel Rivals is doing a really good job at bringing these characters to light
Yeah.
that people might not have thought about. Because I, again, didn't know that much about Elsa Bloodstone, and now I'm like a really big fan after doing so much research and reading about her and reading her that I'm like, yeah, I'd love more. I think she's really cool and a fun character. So connections. She has a connection with almost every character. She has a rivalry with Blade on the correct way to kill monsters. She adopts Jeff the land shark for a while. You can see in that bottom right image, she's like mumbling to her, and she's like, "I will kill anybody that touches you." So she she
That's
likes
cute.
Jeff, and they go on some good little adventures. She meets Wolverine. She hangs out with Frankenstein's monster. There is Captain America that she fights as a teenager when he becomes a werewolf, and she ends up curing him and helping him. So yeah, she meets and interacts with a lot of characters.
I also
So
see Black Knight in the top left,
yeah,
who we met in Eternals, who we'll also never see again.
unfortunately, yes, yeah. So she is touched from Avengers to X-Men to Eternals to different things. She's been in quite a few things. For team up, she's been on a lot of teams as well. Like Next Wave, I think that is the one where they brainwashed her. The Braddock Academy, which is the Britain kind of like Avengers school team. The Midnight Suns, the Fearless Avengers, the A Force, the Doom's Avengers. The Doom's Avengers is when Doctor Doom actually the world got flipped and Doctor Doom was a good guy, and he had his own Avengers, and she was on it, and she defended
Oh,
Latveria from Scarlet Witch multiple times. Um, so yeah, and she's been part of the Midnight Suns, which I played the Midnight Suns video game, and it's so fun. And I think it would be a really great thing that they pushed more. It's like kind of like these more edgy characters.
the the more I learn about the Midnight Suns, the more I would love a movie about them.
Yeah, they're really
Because just looking at
fun.
the bottom right image, we have is that Doctor Voodoo or whatever? We have Moon Knight, Elsa Bloodstone, Blade, and I don't know who the monk, Tibetan monk looking guy
Well,
is. We
there's
also have
Ghost Rider
Swamp
next to
Thing.
him.
Yeah, and there's also Swamp Thing, or that not Swamp Thing
Yeah.
is DC. That is I forget the name of this guy. I
No,
think
no, no.
it's
It's
that Swamp Thing. Because I thought Swamp Thing was
No,
DC.
Swamp Thing, I'm pretty sure is DC, but he is in Werewolf by Night here.
it's Man Thing, right?
Man Thing.
Yes.
What is it? Yeah. Yeah. But
Very
like
close.
it would be it almost reminds me of do you guys remember when they tried to do the MonsterVerse movies? They had Dracula
Mhm.
Untold, the Tom
Yeah.
Cruise Mummy movie, Invisible Man. Like doing something like that within the Marvel universe with all these characters, I think would be really cool where it's dealing with the more like hellish religious kind of godly stuff. It's like Egyptian gods fighting Satan and like other weird things would be really cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, a Midnight Suns movie in the same style as Werewolf by Night, where it's like all black and white except for like specific accent colors, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like I said earlier, reading more about Elsa made me just want to like have her in more things. I think it'd be so cool. I was like, man, Black Widow's cool, but man, what if Elsa was like the hero? Because she is, I mean, Elsa is an Avengers level hero. I mean, she has some crazy powers that she could totally take on some of the big bad guys they fight. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about her connections and how she's connected with so many heroes, what team ups do you guys think that she will have? She's interacted with all of these heroes
Yeah.
and endless amounts of more. Do you guys have any ideas?
I think the
Obviously,
easiest
yeah.
thing Yeah, I think the easiest thing is adding her to the Deadpool and Jeff team up. I would also love to see a team up with Blade and I guess maybe Moon Knight as well, since they were both on the Midnight Suns. Very similar to like the team up that Moon Knight and Blade currently has, where Blade gets the Moon Blades. She could also just get something like that. I think those two are probably the immediate team ups that come to mind for me.
Same. It would be interesting if there was like a unique interaction she'd have if someone was using the werewolf Captain America skin. That would be kind of fun.
A
If there's
unique
some
voice
unique,
line.
or like if there's a unique team up for those two,
Yeah.
just because they, or we've seen her interact multiple times with Wolverine. Maybe like if Wolverine and her are on a team, she gets like a special sleep dart or something she can shoot to knock out people, like she did to Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would really love. I think the perfect idea is the Deadpool and Jeff team up because she interacted with Jeff in two different comics, I think, and then had a big connection with Deadpool. So I think they would be a fun team up to see. So yeah.
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 Okay, so now getting into trivia. Where do you guys think was Elsa was born? Hint: she has a thick British accent.
Uh, Wales.
I
Okay,
don't know
and
enough.
Eric.
I don't know enough about it. The British Isles, so I'll just say London. I feel like it's the accent's a throw off though, a red herring.
It is. She was born in Boston, Massachusetts, United
Right.
States. um, she did move to Europe and lived there for a long time, but she was born in Boston, Massachusetts. And so I just wanted to throw that in there just to throw you guys off.
Okay.
Why
Okay.
why why Boston of all places? Is there any
That's
like
where Bloodstone Manor
Monster
is, I
Hunter?
believe.
Okay, but is there any connection to like monster hunting? I don't know of any famous monsters that originate from
Uh,
Boston.
well, there is the Salem witch trials in Massachusetts, and Boston's in
Oh, okay.
Massachusetts,
That's
so
fair.
maybe
That's
it's
fair.
that.
That's quite
Sorry, I'm
You got
googling where Bloodstone Manor is. Just yep, Boston,
no,
maybe
Massachusetts.
Ulysses Bloodstone got rich off of turning people into the witch trials.
there we go. Honestly, I would
Or I
love
don't know.
a
Okay,
comic
so I
series.
go ahead.
Oh, kind of like the what is it, like 1602 or 1612 comic line where they're all like in medieval knights. I'd love one set around the Salem witch trials with Elsa Bloodstone and maybe Blade or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, what is Elsa Bloodstone's day job when she isn't hunting monsters? I accidentally gave this away. Do you guys remember?
I'm gonna guess teaching at
That is
Braddock
one of them.
University. Oh, she has multiple.
And
Nate?
it's not. I don't know the right term, but it's like an archaeologist where she deals with like
Oh,
ancient
that's right.
artifacts,
Yeah,
or
so
it's like
she's
a museum
a
curator.
professional antiquarian, author, and teacher. So she handles artifacts and magical artifacts. She teaches at the Braddock Academy, and she's an author. She wrote the book called Bloodstone's Monster Hunting Guide. Deals, and that book actually is used by Shield and multiple different things when handling monsters. So her book is very famous.
It's really
Ooh,
cool.
this actually gave me an interesting idea. You know how Deadpool has his own book to upgrade himself?
Mhm.
What if she gets a book that, depending on who's on the other team, she can get like different weapons to fight the different people on the other team?
That'd be
Yeah,
really
I
cool.
always doubt that they'll do something like that, but then they surprised us with Deadpool doing some crazy stuff. So, I mean, I don't, yeah, I mean, they could have her Bloodstone Monster Hunter's Guide, and it's a guide to how to take out each enemy hero that gives you buffs and
Like
passives for different hero.
it's like, oh, when you're fighting Hulk, use this gun. When you're fighting Wolverine, use this gun that sets him on fire to negate his healing or something.
Yeah,
Or
that'd be cool.
it's or it's like a bounty system where you have to attack a specific member of the team, and then it gives you crazy ult charge for like as soon as you get him killed. I don't know.
That would be cool. That's really different. I like
Yeah,
that idea.
yeah, that'd be cool.
Where or who does Elsa Bloodstone almost hook up with at senior prom?
I'm scared now, given comic history of
I'm
teenage
going
girls.
based on the outfit. I'm going to throw out
Okay,
two options.
do you need a hint?
I'll take
Are
a
Think
the age?
about
short.
Are
think
the age?
about her
Are,
think about her character and what things she interacts with.
is she age? Are they age appropriate? Can I just ask that?
At
And
the
is
time,
this gonna
yes.
at the
Okay.
time?
Um, the Wolf Man or whatever.
Okay.
Where
And Eric?
Oh, sorry, I'm racking my brain for like every monster that I know of in Marvel Comics. We'll say Blade.
Spider Man.
The Living
The
Mummy.
living.
What?
What?
Nick
How is that age
Cassidy,
appropriate?
Wait,
the
yeah, that's
Living
what are you
Mummy,
talking about?
is an ancient Egyptian king turned into a 3,000-year-old immortal undead warrior with superhero strength, durability, and a rock hard mummified body. So I actually am not positive. It's probably not age appropriate, but in this photo, and in this comic, he is in prom attire. And I think he is a teen for some reason. That's Elsa on the
What's
left.
Like he
This is a
died as a
3,000-year-old guy doing an high school prom.
wait. Are you
uh,
telling me he died and got mummified as like a teenager, so stuck in a teenage body
Something
forever?
like
So
that.
we're
I'm not fully
it,
positive. I
freaking
just
anime logic. Like no.
And look at his quote. Yes, Elsa Bloodstone, look into my deep and dark and mysterious eyes. Hear the cure. Cue up in the background and see me, see the real me for the awesome, dangerous stud that I am.
Can I punch this guy in the face repeatedly?
I
Oh
will
my
also
goodness.
say, Nate, I believe you are almost correct. She also almost gets with one of the Wolfmen, but that's
Mm.
later, I believe. So,
Okay.
what is Elsa's least favorite Marvel team?
This is the team up that she doesn't like the most.
Marvel team,
Or-
any of the Marvel teams in Marvel
Okay.
that she does not
So
like.
like X-Men, Avengers,
Yeah,
Fantastic
any team that
Four.
is in Marvel.
I'll say I know there's a bunch. There's like the West Coast Avengers and like Great Lakes Avengers or something like that. I'm gonna throw out and just say Fantastic Four.
Great.
I think
Eric?
it is the West Coast Avengers. I don't think that she would get along with Hawkeye and all the other West Coast Avengers.
Correct.
Oh,
Just the Avengers in general. She
okay.
critiques their colorful costumes and tendency to shout their heroic slogans, dismissing them as people who wear their underpants on the outside. So she's not a fan
Nice.
of them.
I appreciate that. I just thought she wouldn't get along with like Reed and his
Oh, she definitely
whole
wouldn't.
like constant logic stuff.
Hmm. In Marvel Rivals, Elsa Bloodstone's hero code, her coding, is labeled as 1059. When data miners went in to find leaks, who was originally labeled as 1059? Does anyone have any clue?
Ooh.
And
Is
this is
it
in Marvel
Cyclops?
Rivals. Okay, is that your answer, Nate?
Yes.
Uh, man, I feel like it'd be. We'll just say, was it Deadpool originally?
Okay. It was Pasta Pot Pete.
Or Peace Pod Pete.
What?
Pasta Pot Pete, or however you say his name. It's a villain who uses a glue gun. I love that image in the
I
bottom right there of him literally holding a can of glue that is attached to the gun. This was obviously a meme by the Marvel Rivals team and Guang Guang, just to throw us off. They put through a lot of different characters and different coding to hide who was really coming, and this was the character that was secretly Elsa Bloodstone.
Okay, I
I
kind of
forgot that
wish
he
it
was on
was
the
him
wait
though.
list. Yeah.
I
It
kind of
would be a
wish this
little too
was him.
silly. Yeah.
I just want
Okay.
an Ebenezer Scrooge looking man with a glue gun.
I, what would his skins be like?
Just
The glue.
yeah,
Just glue.
yeah.
Everything slows you down or gets you stuck in place for a few seconds.
It would be so
He,
annoying. He would have like so much
Yeah.
CC and
he has no
stunts.
damage. All he is CC and
Yes.
stunts.
Oh god.
He's a
My
support, and
lord.
that's all he does.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So how do you guys feel? Are you excited about
Yeah.
Elsa?
No, knowing
Yeah,
all this, I'm kind of disappointed I didn't know about her sooner. Like I want to go read some of her comics, especially like the
I,
newer stuff.
I kind of want to go pick up a Midnight Suns comic or get like into a more like monster hunting comic with her. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I totally agree. During my research, I've said this already, but I just loved learning about her. I thought she was cool. She was engaging. She was funny. She was snarky, but not in like a way that was like felt annoying or over the top. Sometimes like Deadpool can. I love Deadpool too, but she was really
Yeah,
great, and I really want to learn more about her and hope she gets more spotlight now that Marvel Rivals is bringing her to the front.
yeah.
Yeah.
My last and final question: who do you hope the next Rivals characters are?
I think Cyclops has to be coming within the next season or two, given all the teasing that they've done in the trailers for like last season, and then uh, there's also some lines that like Phoenix has with Deadpool. I think he's coming soon. I also see Ant-Man on here, and the test that they've done with like um what is it,
The pin
Times
particles.
Square, and like the
Yeah,
pin particles. He's also going to be coming sometime soon. I don't know. I feel like we need more. I mean, all three of us are like tank and support mains. We would always love more tanks and supports. I think there's too many DPSs already. So just more tanks and supports. That's what I want.
I am gonna go with There's I remember watching X-Men and the Wolverine growing up, which is another X-Men show that I loved, and this one character always stood out to me. Her name is Spiral, and she serves the villain Mojo. I would either want Mojo just because he's so weird. He's like a Jabba the Hutt little gremlin who wants to throw you into like these little Coliseum type game things. And Spiral serves him, and she's this six-armed cyborg sorceress warrior. And I just think it'd be really cool to have.
Wow, that would be crazy. I would really love
Yeah.
Miss Marvel. I don't know how they would do it, but I think she's really fun. I think it would be fun if she was a little bit like Mr. Fantastic and a little bit like Spider-Man, where she could actually swing from her arms and like grab things,
Oh,
and have a little bit more control that way. I also would like if they went the comic route instead of the new movie where she has the weird light powers, because I do think it's fun. My other one would be Sam Wilson as Captain America or Falcon, whatever they choose. But I think he could be a really
yeah.
fun flying tank, similar to Angela, but like he can like fly around and has Uzis or something like that would be really cool. And
Yeah.
he has
Yeah.
his drone.
I,
He could also be a support like Ultron, where his red wing heals people or gives shields if he was a tank. That would be cool.
yeah. Ooh,
That would be
Taskmaster would be a
interesting.
fun character if they added Taskmaster.
Mm,
Yeah, I actually saw one that said Taskmaster should be all roles like Deadpool, and so that he can
Yeah.
copy
I,
abilities.
I
I
I
think
think
that'd be cool.
Taskmaster is the only other character that I would accept as being all three roles.
I agree.
Also, they should add Professor X
I
As a
know.
support.
I think
support.
Professor
Yeah.
X as a support would be really cool.
Yeah.
He can give you little
Yeah.
motivational speeches and stuff, and then his ultimate would be like let you relive trauma. He would send Magneto back to World War II in the camps, and
Holocaust
Yeah.
beam.
yeah,
He does that in the
Holocaust beam.
comics, and it's
Yeah.
the craziest thing is it's his go-to when he fights Magneto. Apparently, it
Yeah,
seems it's like,
it's just
Ah,
it's his
yeah,
kryptonite. Send him back to
Eric,
the
yeah.
my friend
Holocaust.
of many centuries and decades. Holocaust beam.
Yeah.
It's
Fuck you.
horrifying. Like, but like, yeah, but it would be cool. Like, he could like buff other people's abilities. He could debuff people. His alt could be like a stun or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's done. There's already so much CC in the game.
Just bigger debuffs then. I don't know.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was Elsa Bloodstone.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any final thoughts about it?
I'm excited. I like that they're highlighting lesser known Marvel characters and showing how cool they can be, and I hope they keep doing that.
I really want to get into Elsa Bloodstone after this. So if you are an Elsa Bloodstone fan, if you have read the comics, send me your recommendations for what runs I should start with or we should start with. Put them in the comments. I would love to find a good run to start off with Elsa Bloodstone.
I agree, and I obviously gave this presentation, but I am also not an expert. I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of videos. Read a lot of articles. I read some of the comics. Um, so if I got anything wrong and you're seething about it, please let me know. I'm totally open to learning, and that's what it's all about. So
Thanks so much for joining us, and catch you next time. See
see
ya.
you later.
Bye.